Tell me when. You ready? Good morning. When I entered public service 3 years ago, one of my core missions was to seek justice for victims. We've worked hard every day to accomplish this goal. Take our work in just the last year, 2018. In 2018, the Attorney General's office rescued 12 child victims as part of an online predator crackdown that led to more than 300 counts of child sexual abuse or child pornography against those that were arrested. In each instance of those saves, the predator had direct access to a child. In 2018, we secured a record 39 human trafficking and other related arrests. One case resulted in a 20-year conviction, the longest sentence under state human trafficking charges, for a former Northern Kentucky school board member and judge named Timothy Nolan. In that case alone, there were 19 victims. 19 victims. Our Saki cold case unit continues to work, not just to assist in our efforts to forever end this rape kit backlog, but to seek justice for each and every individual that's been denied that justice. Working with local prosecutors, we have now had 3 indictments come off that backlog, including one from 1983. The last indictment has been connected to 3 separate victims over time, meaning we are identifying, arresting, and will ultimately prosecute serial rapists. And in 2018, we received federal money to fund a victims advocate for victim services in Marshall County to deal with that school shooting and to help an entire community that has been victimized, that has been traumatized, to provide specific services to help that area and those families to heal. As you can see, all these cases, all of our work to help multiple victims, to help each and every victim, is so important regardless of the specific crime. That's what seeking justice means to our office. It's the concept that the most important person in any crime isn't the perpetrator. Though they're important and they must be brought to justice, the most important person is the victim, is a survivor of that crime, to ensure that we as a state are providing the help and the services, and that we are trauma-informed so that healing can begin the very first moment. As I travel this state, I continue to hear from folks like the people who are up here today that have transformed their trauma into triumph, that have turned one of the most difficult moments in life into a power and a strength that can help others. It is truly heroic, and it ought to show us the best of the best, which has come out of the worst of the worst. I learned early on as Attorney General that government, especially when it comes to offering services to victims, had to do things differently. That the way we went about our investigations and our prosecutions had to change. That we needed victims advocates there from the very start, and that we needed other survivors there, helping survivors at an earlier point in time. That we had to change if we wanted to change the culture that leads to some of these crimes. So, one of our earliest decisions was that we were going to bring survivors to the table, because any plan that's ultimately going to work has to be driven in part by those who have been through it. So the Kentucky Attorney General Survivor Council was created in 2017. It was the first of its kind in this country. From its inception, the council afforded each founding member a seat at the table and a voice in our mission and a voice in their mission. A mission to push for real change, a mission to push for a state that treats its victims the way that they need and should be treated, with dignity, that we provide the services that someone needs from moment one, and that ultimately we work to create a culture and a society without violence, where each and every person is respected and where we can end some of these crimes in our lifetime. Now, 2 years later, we stand in the wake of outstanding work by those initial council members. Their accomplishments are vast and many, and their voices have truly guided both myself and Gretchen Hunt and her Office of Victims Advocacy these last 2 years. I want to personally thank each and every one of them, from leading the fight to end child marriage in Kentucky, to ensuring the Attorney General's office and everything that we do are trauma-informed, that we don't just talk the talk, we walk the walk. Their work has been outstanding. Now, as Survivor Council alumni, they will continue to use their voice and share their stories to help others. We look forward to their remarkable accomplishments, and as alumni, they're not going anywhere. We're still right here with them, working to empower the great work that they do. But if anyone knows me, if anybody knows Gretchen, if anybody knows the members of this office, we never simply celebrate an accomplishment. We always move the goalposts. There is more work to be done. If there is one victim, one survivor out there who has not had the services that they need, we have more work to do. And we know that we've got to expand our training to make sure that every single person involved in our criminal justice system is trained in the type of trauma-informed approach that I believe can truly transform this Commonwealth. So, today we are announcing our second version of this council. I'm honored to be standing up here today to the very people who are now going to do the heavy lifting and continue the resounding voice of survivors throughout our state and country over the next 2 years. Each of them is unique. For some, today is the first day they're standing up publicly about their trauma, and that is a bravery that ought to be applauded. I've always talked about our first Survivors Council being the bravest group of 25 people I've ever known. I know we're seeing it right here today with this group as well. For others, today is not about them, but about a loved one that they lost, and about showing this Commonwealth that in any crime, there's more than just one victim, that it tears at a family, that it tears at a community, and the voices of those impacted must be heard too. For most, today is about a journey towards transforming the trauma that they have endured into positive change that can impact each and every Kentucky community. They are survivors of homicide, incest, labor trafficking, sex trafficking, campus sexual assault, domestic violence, child marriage, and clergy abuse. They're from all parts of Kentucky: Grayson, Lexington, Louisville, Mount Eden, Frankfort, Owensboro, and Bowling Green. But the one thing that binds them all together is purpose. Their determination, their mission to change the culture that drives so many of these crimes. Everybody here today wouldn't be here if they didn't believe in a better and a brighter tomorrow, and that they couldn't make a major impact on building that better and brighter tomorrow. I'm talking about changing culture in places that'll allow people to think that they should have power over others, that allow people to think that they can commit violence towards others or control another's actions. We're here today to not only continue to say that that should never, ever be tolerated, but that we can build the type of world where no one is raised to believe that that's okay, and that ultimately, again, that we can end some of these issues in our lifetime. We see this time and time again in our society, and it's got to change in each and every part, from our workplaces, our communities, and yes, we even see some of these issues in our state capitol. We will condemn them each and every time, no matter who's involved. These 20 individuals are going to change our culture minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day, week after week, and long after my term as Attorney General ends. Because it's not about me. It's about a pledge I made when I entered public service to get up every morning as Attorney General to do the right thing, to make Kentucky a safer place where our families can grow and prosper. I want that type of world for my 8- and 9-year-old. And I know that the folks who are here long after I'm gone are continue to push to build that world. So I think I've kept my pledge. But we have to build the foundation to make sure that that work continues. So we're continuing to build that foundation by standing alongside these remarkable individuals and supporting them as they advocate, as they share their stories, and as they bring a unique voice that helps so many others who yet haven't reported. haven't talked about what they have been through. I'm thrilled to work with them over this next year and look forward to their future success. Now we're going to let some of the new members of the council, talk. I just ask that we respect their stories, that we respect their voice, and that we know it's hard to stand in this room. And so what they tell us is powerful, it's important, and it's going to make a huge difference. So we'd like to start. Yes, please.
My name is Robin Garner. I am a survivor of domestic violence, and I'm excited to be a council member in regard to recreating the narrative in which what a victim looks like. There are so many young girls that are involved in abusive relationships, but they're not calling it domestic violence. They've been conditioned to believe that this is passion, that this is love, and that this is what it's supposed to look like. So I'm excited to recreate that narrative for our younger generation in certain demographics.
My name is Summer Dickerson. I am a survivor of human trafficking and torture, and I think the Survivor Council is so important to be able to let other victims know not only can you overcome the stuff that you've done, but you can also be a voice to upcoming victims and stuff like that. It's very nice to be able to be a part of some amazing group of women, survivors and men that are that are just gonna make a big way. And I appreciate that our Attorney General always make sure that survivors have a seat at the table, and because if we're the ones that have gone through it and overcome it, we're the ones that can help people better understand what it is.
Hi, my name is Anita Franklin, and I recognize as a survivor that the power of our voices create conversation, and it initiates necessary changes for victims and survivors. The Survivor Council is so important because it advocates from the victim and the survivor's standpoint. It's our viewpoint which is impactful, and it will result in positive results. One day I feel that this council will be modeled across the United States, and I want to be a part of that history.
So I'm Christina Smith. I'm a violent crime survivor. I'm also a survivor of human trafficking. And anyway, I have a statement that I prepared. And I want to say also, as a first responder, I do a lot of heavy lifting. So please, yeah, we're, as a survivor, there's so many different ways that we can give in our community. And it's been a really, really empowering journey to serve the public in a community service type scenario, and I've learned so much along that way. So my statement is, after everything I have endured and survived in my life, I have never once asked, why me? I only asked myself, why am I still here? What am I supposed to be doing? Why did I survive? It is not every day that a little girl from a four-way stop town in rural western Kentucky, Simpsonia, gets an opportunity to have her voice heard. I'm very honored and excited to stand alongside so many wonderful, courageous people as we work to ensure that the Commonwealth of Kentucky is a trauma-informed and victim-centered unit that promotes health, prosperity, and well-being for its inhabitants. With this work, we shall not falter into obsolescence. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for the AG's office. I think we're going to do some really amazing things, so keep your eye on us.
Anybody else? Yes. Okay. Yes. What about giving voice?
Good morning. My name is Leshawna Harris, and I've always been committed to vocalizing the silent cries of children, especially children that have been victimized physically and sexually. I am excited to be a part of this council so that we can together make a difference and give a voice to the voiceless when we empower children to come forth and talk about their experiences. Thank you.
Cal Pfeiffer from Louisville, and I wanted to thank the Attorney General for setting up this council. I represent those sexually abused by the clergy, and it's very important in that those that have been abused, the last people they want to go to is the people in the church that abused them. And so I think it's extremely important that there's another vehicle, another agency, another group that is concerned about them and can help them through their healing process. Thank you.
Yes?
Good morning. My name is Anna Bowers. I'm from Grayson, Kentucky, Carter County. This is an honor to be chosen to be part of this council. And I hope that we can make a huge difference and reach as many, many victims of crime that we possibly can. I think that is the goal of each one of us here that is a survivor of a vicious crime. I know that with me, I'm a mother of a murdered child. So my passion is to help as many victims across the state, the nation, wherever we may go, to assist each victim. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Deb Lee. I live in Mount Eden, and my sister was murdered in a domestic violence incident November 10th, 2012, an incident that had stalking elements to it. And the thing that stands out to me with what happened is awareness. She wasn't aware of the resources available to her. I wasn't either, although you know, we did what we could to try to get her out of that situation, but we didn't know what was available. So that's one of the things that I want to highlight here today.
Hi, my name is Iffy Whitfill, and I feel like my heart's going to pound out of my chest. I wanted to get up here and make sure I said something because I think oftentimes people may look at us up here and think that we are different than them because we're brave and we're standing up here. We're no different than anybody else, and I personally am terrified, and I'm sure there's a lot of people here who are as well, but we want to make a difference, and I'm so honored to be part of this council, and mainly because I feel like people don't understand that violence does not have a preference, that it does not choose. Anybody could be a victim, basically, is what I'm trying to say. It doesn't matter what you look like, what your income is, and I think it's important that each of us represent a different demographic and that we have a voice and help others to understand that they too can be empowered and that they have a place to go.
I'm Marcia Johnson from Bowling Green, Kentucky. I haven't heard anyone mention yet the opioid crisis, which I'm sure that we're all aware of. My son was murdered in 2006 due to opioids, and I just hope to be able to have some impact in that field. Thank you.
Wow. I think you've been able to see how special this council is today. Extraordinary people, very brave individuals that are going to make a huge difference. So we're happy to take some questions. And then if there is a request for any individual interviews, we just ask that you work with Terry here to make sure that that person's comfortable. All right, thank you very much.